Okay, let's go ahead and talk about something pretty important. In the United States, healthcare is not considered a positive right. What do I mean by that? In the United States, anywhere, there's a concept of positive rights and negative rights. Positive rights are your rights to things, and negative rights are your rights from things. So a right to life would be the right to not be killed in the United States, but it's not a right to have your life saved. So, because of this, there have been places that have been choosing, deliberately, to raise the price of things like insulin. Eric's, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an hada hada, as we're talking about insulin. You monster. But insulin, which there's a rising amount of people in the United States who are diabetic, right? Insulin is very important for a lot of diabetics to survive because their body is not creating insulin naturally, and as a result, they need insulin to be pumped into their bodies in order to process sugar. And a lot of times the answer is not just don't eat sugar, because sugar is found in many things besides just candy, soft drinks, etc. When you eat bread, suddenly you're introducing sugar into your body because there's complex carbs there. So how much does a bottle of insulin usually cost in the United States right now? We can actually do a quick look here. How much is insulin per bottle? Now a bottle, I think, generally lasts like a month, right? And people are needing this to survive. Without this, they'll die. And according to here, a bottle of insulin is going to cost people about... Oh, let's see here. Where was it? I don't want your email address thing. Okay. We're looking at $200 to $400 a bottle. So imagine $200 to $400 of a substance to survive. Without it, you die. And you need it a month. You think a $15 a month subscription to World of Warcraft to feed your addiction is bad. Imagine a $200 to $400 subscription to insulin in order to not die. It's literally your life rent. Just imagine paying your life rent. And the price of insulin has kept going up over and over and over through the course of several years. Now, we can look up something else here. How much does it cost to produce insulin? Now, producing insulin looks to cost between $2 to $4 to produce per vial, per bottle. $6 on the high end for analog insulin. How? How did we get to taking this, and instead of charging maybe $25, $40 for it, which is still a severely high percentage increase in cost. It's good profit. We sell it for hundreds of dollars. Hundreds of fucking dollars. Now, I don't want to toot the horn of a particular company, because I hate this company. I hate this company with a bloody fucking passion. But at least, in a very, very rare circumstance, sometimes an opening in the market can lead to something good for people. Walmart is planning on selling its own line of affordable insulin to patients. How much is it going to cost? They're planning on selling analog insulin for about 73 bottles a vial. And they're selling pens for about $85 a pen. This is significantly cheaper than what insulin has been costing people in the United States for a while. Being able to get a different kind of insulin? Good. Is it still price gouging? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's still fucking insanely overpriced. But it is better. Not as good as it needs to be. My ideal My ideal scenario is publicly funded healthcare where we avoid all these fucking problems to begin with. But realistic scenarios based on where we are right now would be that this can be a first step for other companies to realize they can fill in this market even better than Walmart and force these prices to go down further and further. Like how it happens when an Aldi gets anywhere near a Walmart and they start just reducing the prices of everything Walmart has in their store exponentially so Walmart can compete. The move would save $101 per vial and $251 per package of FlexPens, according to Walmart. Going on to the article, diabetes often comes with high medical costs, estimated around $9,601 per person per year. We welcome all affordable solutions that can make diabetes management more accessible to millions of Americans living with diabetes, Tracy Brown, CEO of the American Diabetes Association, said in a press release. We encourage everyone to ask their healthcare provider questions to better understand what the right and affordable treatment for their unique medical needs is. Now, there's still some issues here, like the fact that for you to even get an insulin prescription, you will need a primary care physician, which in a lot of cases means you need to either be able to afford a doctor or afford insurance to get there. There's still a fuck ton of barriers to entry here that will lead people who are diabetic to just fucking dying. But this is, again, at least a step in the right direction. This makes things a little more manageable, a little more affordable, a little better. Not where it needs to be, but if the only thing you will ever accept in the short term is where it needs to be and not a little bit of improvement, then you'll never get any improvement. Accept a short-term win and continue to fight for a long-term gain. It is something. Customers will still need a prescription from a healthcare professional to obtain the insulin. We know that many people with diabetes struggle to manage the financial burden of this condition, and we are focused on helping by providing affordable solutions. We also know that this is a condition that disproportionately impacts undeserved populations. With Relion and Novolog insulin, we are adding a high-quality medication for diabetes to the already affordable Relion line of products and continuing our commitment to improve access and lowering the cost of care. The rising cost of insulin has forced some diabetics to ration their supply because they cannot afford to spend hundreds of dollars to purchase it. There is no generic, and therefore no less expensive, version of insulin. It is currently manufactured by only 3 companies, which control the entire market. So, again, while this is a step in the right direction, this is good, this is something to be happy about, we need to still talk about the larger issue at hand. This is a step, and this is a practice that needs to be encouraged. Companies creating their own generic versions of medications so that medications can have a lower cost in the short term for people. But we still need to figure out, how do we deal with the fact that there are pharmaceutical conglomerates that own such a high percentage of patents and essentially the entire market for pharmaceutical goods, that they're able to create monopolies like this. When only 3 companies create a product that is required for human survival? That creates a huge issue. It also creates a problem where companies like that are in a too big to fail scenario, because if certain companies that are controlling the insulin supply were to fail, then production of that insulin would stop, and it lets them basically engage in an abusive double bind with the human population. This is why having generic brands of these medicines is a good thing. So how is this line of insulin being produced? That is not mentioned in the article. That is not mentioned in the article at all. There are not specifics in here, though we can try to get some specifics if you want. So let's see here. Walmart insulin. We know it's called Relion. So here's from the LA Times. Let's see if they give us anything else here. Fine, I'll allow ads on your website. Jesus Christ. Walmart has unveiled a private label insulin in conjunction with Novo Nordisk, whose Novolog insulin costs about 5 times as much. For years, advocates of healthcare reform have been saying the market for prescription drugs is rigged, with powerful pharmaceutical companies setting prices at unreasonably high levels. We literally just went over this. Drug companies steadfastly have insisted they don't do that. Thanks to Walmart, we now know for sure they do. Dude, we didn't need Walmart to know for sure. We literally know the price of creating insulin. We know how much it costs. We know for a fact that they're fucking gouging those prices. The retail behemoth is introducing a private label insulin this week called Rely On Novolog. The insulin also will be available at Sam's Club stores by mid-July. Walmart insulin costs $73 a vial. Insulin manufactured by the 3 pharmaceutical companies that otherwise control the market, Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and Sanofi, typically sell insulin for more than $300 a vial. We went over that at the beginning of the video. Walmart's version of the life-saving drug is largely identical to insulin sold on the market. It's an analog insulin, meaning it's the most effective, fastest-acting version, not some older formulation that doesn't work as well. Which raises a few questions, such as, if Walmart can profitably sell insulin at a fraction of current prices, why hasn't anyone else done so before now? It's called monopoly. If insulin can be mass-produced so cheaply, how has the drug industry gotten away with overcharging people for so long? Because you have an uneducated populace who don't know how to vote. Duh. And why do lawmakers tolerate what looks like a lot of collusion and price gouging? Lobbying. Again, duh. A lot of our lawmakers are fucking bought by pharmaceutical lobbies. Insulin has been the poster child for all that is wrong in the pharmaceutical industry, said Jeffrey Joyce, Director of Health Policy for USC's Schaffer Center for Health Policy and Economics. Insulin prices have increased much faster than most drugs, and certainly over other medical services. Said, I'm not an innocent bystander here. I was diagnosed in 2007 with type 1 diabetes and have relied on daily insulin injections ever since. I've thus had to continue to have first-hand experience with the captive market for managing of a chronic disease, and the myriad of ways that drug companies and makers of medical devices exploit that market with prices that far surpass research and development and production costs. They're taking advantage of 6 people, which is to say, just immoral. We know many people with diabetes struggle to manage the financial burden of this condition. Walmart's executive vice president of health and wellness said in a statement, we also know this is a condition that disproportionately affects undeserved populations. That was mentioned in the other article. So this is true on both accounts, but Vivian Ho, director of Rice University Center for Health and Bioscience, told me Walmart isn't being altruistic here. They're doing this because they see a way to make money. They've realized that if they can get people with a chronic disease to go into their stores, those people will buy other stuff while they're there. True. There's no part of this that is Walmart saying, oh, let's try to do good for the people. This is Walmart finding a hole in the market and filling that hole in the market. It is also important, though, for us to recognize that sometimes a company finding that hole in the market ends up working well for us. With a handful of companies now cornering the insulin market, it may take a Chrysler like Walmart to break the gentleman's agreement. Whatever Walmart's motivation, and I applaud the company's move, it's worth emphasizing that Walmart's version of state-of-the-art insulin is being produced in conjunction with Novo Nordisk, which makes me wonder why Novo didn't roll out a similarly priced insulin on its own. The company's Novolog insulin was introduced to the United States in 2000 at a cost of less than $40 a vial, but it now lists for $350 a vial, according to the drug price site GoodRx. People with insurance pay less, but annual out-of-pocket costs for diabetes management still run into the thousands of dollars. So what are we to think that Novo Nordisk was unable to prevent the price of its insulin from increasing by 775%, but somehow Walmart was able to wave a magic wand and cut the price by almost 4/5? As a person who's relied on Novolog for years until my insurer forced me to switch for its own purposes to Eli Lilly's Humalog, I'm insulted and disgusted that Novo has abused me and millions of other people with diabetes for so long. Keep in mind, insulin was discovered by a trio of Canadian scientists in the 20s. They sold the patent to the University of Toronto for a single $1. A vial of insulin now costs more than 30,000% than the original cost of the patent. According to the Mayo Clinic, insulin in the U.S. costs about 10 times the cost of it in other developed countries. And the number one reason for that cost is the presence of a vulnerable population that needs insulin to survive. It's literally marketing. The demand has risen so high that the price can be raised proportionally to that demand. This population, with numbers in the millions, is willing to pay anything to have access to a life-saving drug. The desperate need for a life-saving product allows insulin to be priced at high levels because it's not a luxury item that one can forego. The manufacturers of insulin know that patients who need it will spend whatever it takes to acquire it, regardless of price. It's a matter of life and death. Alarmingly, some people with diabetes have been forced to ration their insulin. We already talked about that in the other one. A 2019 study by the CDC and Prevention found that almost 1 in 7 US adults with diabetes weren't using insulin as prescribed by their doctors because of the high cost. It's an intolerable state of affairs for the richest, most medically advanced country on the planet. None of the experts I spoke with believed Walmart's unveiling of reasonably priced insulin will be followed by lower-priced alternatives to other drugs. They say insulin was ripe for a price disruption because it has attracted so much attention in recent years from feel-your-pain politicians. They also pointed out that it takes a powerful retailer to move forward with something like this, and after Walmart, the list gets very short. Perhaps only Amazon is in a similar position as it pushes deeper into the healthcare market. But what Walmart has shown is that when legitimate competition is introduced into the drug market, downward pressure is placed on prices. The company has also demonstrated that allowing drug companies to behave in a monopolistic or oligopolistic fashion inevitably puts patients at a disadvantage. If high barriers to entry prevent other businesses from competing in this space, then it's up to lawmakers to protect sick people with common sense regulations that prevent price gouging. Allowing Medicare to negotiate the drug prices on behalf of its 68 million beneficiaries would be a prudent first step towards rationalizing the drug market that for too long has operated with contempt for the people it claims to serve. Walmart, again, while Walmart is not operating altruistically, while nothing Walmart is doing can be considered for the good of the people, hopefully this can be a first step for a lot of people, especially the dumb, absolute dumb fuck right-wing libertarian talking points that try to say that the full-on privatization of the medical industry would be better and good, and Jesus Christ, you guys have dicks in your brains. Anyway, the point is, if you are insulin dependent, middle of this year, we are getting better versions of insulin insofar as their price are concerned, which is good. The downside is that this isn't what was needed. What's needed is for insulin to be something like $10 or $20 a bottle. If you're going to have to pay a subscription to live, that subscription needs to be cheap enough to where a company can't back you into a corner. But anyway, with that said, let me know what you think in the comments section below, and let me know what you think over on Twitch. Follow if you haven't already. And as always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here.